Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're tackling one of the most profound, deeply philosophical questions humanity has literally ever faced. Why do we actually need divine messengers? I mean, look around you. We live in an incredibly complex, stunningly beautiful world. But it doesn't exactly come with a giant glowing label in the sky telling us why it's all here, right? Throughout history, the greatest philosophers, thinkers, and theologians have debated this exact mystery. If there's some grand design out there, why didn't the designer just make the ultimate purpose super obvious to all of us the second we were born? Well, in this explainer, we're going to completely unpack our source material's really fascinating take on this. We'll be exploring the secret of the greatest envoy and discovering the rock-solid logical reason behind why a messenger is absolutely necessary. We're taking a journey from everyday, common-sense logic all the way to the grand design of the cosmos itself. Let's get into it.
Okay, let's dive into this. I want you to imagine just for a second that you went out and bought the absolute most advanced, highly complex piece of technology on the market. It arrives in this pristine box, you take it out, you power it on, and it whirs to life with all these glowing lights. But there's a huge problem. You realize there's absolutely no instruction manual. No quick startup guide, no online tutorial, and honestly, zero indication of what this thing is actually supposed to do. You press a few buttons, some lights flash, things happen, but you have no clue if you're even using it right. Just think about how incredibly frustrating that would be. You've got this brilliant, capable machine sitting right in front of you, but without that manual, its true purpose and its highest potential are completely locked away. You're literally just guessing.
Now think about how perfectly that frustrating little everyday scenario maps onto something much bigger, the human experience. We can all agree that a complex device absolutely requires a manual to work the way it was intended, right? But what about life itself? Think about human consciousness or the insanely intricate biological and ecological systems we navigate every single day. The universe is infinitely more complex than any gadget we could ever build, and yet we're born into it without a physical rulebook handed to us in the delivery room, without a guide. Without someone or something to actually explain our true purpose, we're basically just like that confused user, randomly mashing buttons on a machine, feeling totally lost about the meaning behind our very own existence.
And that brings us right to our first major theme for today. Section 1, A Life Without a Guide. You know that quiet, almost heavy kind of agitation you get sometimes when you look up at a sky full of stars, or when you look really closely at the microscopic perfection of a single leaf? It's incredibly beautiful, for sure, but without any real context, it can also leave you with this profound sense of feeling a bit lost. We exist inside this stunningly designed universe, but without an explanation, all that beauty can just leave us with a hollow ache. It's because human beings inherently crave meaning. To answer that deep, nagging question, the source material points us to a classic concept from a famous philosophical parable known as the 10th word. This is where we encounter a very specific, crucial term, Yaveri Ekram. Translated, this means the greatest envoy or the trusted messenger of the king. Think about how a grand, majestic kingdom actually operates. A ruler doesn't just build a massive castle and then leave all their subjects to blindly guess what the laws of the land are, right? No, they appoint a Yaveri Ekram. This figure acts as the totally vital, indispensable bridge between the sovereign and the public. They speak directly on the king's behalf, communicating his rules, his intentions, and his character to the people. Basically, they make sure the citizens aren't left stumbling around in the dark.
Moving right along, let's look at Section 2, the Master's Envoy.
Let's delve just a bit deeper into the heart of this parable. Imagine a kingdom of unimaginable wealth and flawless artistry. Every single building, every perfectly manicured garden is specifically designed to showcase the immense, undeniable skill of the master who built it all. But what if the master stays completely hidden? Well, then all of this staggering artistry goes totally unappreciated, or at the very least, completely misunderstood. A kingdom of that magnitude inherently demands a trusted spokesperson to represent the king. Great art always needs a curator to explain the genius behind it, right? Keeping that in mind, just listen to this profound question raised directly by the source material. Is it at all possible that a universe so carefully adorned would not have an envoy to introduce its sacred artisan? Take a second to really let the weight of that sink in. It directly challenges our most fundamental sense of logic. Why on earth would a creator go to the astronomical trouble of painstakingly designing and decorating an entire universe only to stay completely silent? It is simply illogical to craft something so deeply intricate without providing an explainer to introduce the artist behind the masterpiece. The design itself literally cries out for an explanation.
And this brilliantly illustrates the next powerful insight from the text. It says, "Such flawless beauty does not want to exist without a mediator to display and explain it, just like the sun cannot exist without giving light." I absolutely love this analogy. Think about the sun. The very nature of the sun is to radiate light. It can't help it. That is quite literally what makes it the sun. In the exact same way, the source argues that the very nature of flawless beauty and supreme design is to be recognized, understood, and appreciated. It demands a guiding light, a mediator, or a messenger to actually reveal its meaning to us. Without that mediator, all that beauty is just like a stunning, priceless painting locked away forever in a pitch-black room. The messenger is the one who finally flips the light switch so we can actually see.
All right, shifting gears a bit. Section 3, the universal logic.
Let's step out of the historical parable for just a minute and bring this right back to our modern reality. Because this isn't just some poetic story about a king and a castle, it is a fundamental observation about the grand design of the cosmos we actually live in today. The source makes a compelling argument. The everyday logic we use to navigate our lives is the exact same logic that applies to the universe as a whole. So, the crucial point is how this clear, undeniable logical pattern naturally emerges. Step 1. You have a well-designed system, much like our complex tech device from the beginning of the explainer. That naturally leads to step 2. The system inherently creates a need for user instructions, so the user knows what to do and, well, doesn't break it. Now let's scale that way up to step 3, the universe's purposeful appearance. Everywhere we look, we see intricate laws of physics, perfectly balanced ecosystems, a highly tuned reality that allows life to even exist, which leads us inevitably to the final step, the undeniable need for an explainer. Perfection in design universally demands a guide for the user. It's a simple, unbreakable chain of logic. A purposeful universe absolutely necessitates a purposeful guide.
Which brings us to our final section for today. Section 4, the divine answer.
So we've established this deep, structural, philosophical requirement for a messenger. We've seen that by every logical metric, the universe is basically begging for a manual. But a philosophical need is just an abstract theory until it actually meets reality. And this is exactly where theology steps in to provide the historical, practical answer to this whole logical deduction. Across human history, this built-in need for instruction hasn't just been ignored. According to the text, it has been actively, repeatedly answered. That void of meaning has been filled by individuals who stepped forward acting as those exact, trusted envoys we've been talking about. In fact, the text points us directly to this profound theological statement from the Quran, Surah An-Nahl, chapter 16, verse 36. It says, "And we certainly sent into every nation a messenger, saying, 'Worship Allah.'" This verse beautifully ties the entire explainer together. It shows that the logical necessity we just deduced, the absolute non-negotiable need for a guide to explain the great master's kingdom, is explicitly addressed in theology. It affirms the idea that the Creator didn't just leave humanity stumbling in the dark, forced to randomly guess the rules of the universe. Instead, messengers were sent to every nation, functioning exactly as the Yavri Akram, the greatest envoy. They brought the instruction manual directly to the people, perfectly fulfilling that built-in logical requirement.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to turn this concept away from the grand cosmic scale and bring it right down to your own life. Have you ever experienced a moment where you desperately needed someone to guide you in your own search for meaning? Think about those massive times of life transition, moments of deep loss, or even just a sudden, overwhelming sense of awe at the beauty of the world around you. Didn't you crave a guide in those moments? The logic presented in our source material suggests that this deeply human craving isn't some accident. It isn't a weakness. It's actually exactly how the system was designed. The manual is out there. The envoy has been sent. The only question left is, are you ready to read it? Thanks so much for learning with me today, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.